right. As usual, getting my act together this here, and we'll get going. There are a lot of flakes on the ground at my feet. That's how this works. I need to work on the backdrop, don't I? Well, that's not the important thing. Okay. No one with me yet? I've got my teaching board with me today in case I need to answer questions. Thought that might help. Kind of cool. Helpful when I can't fully explain stuff just using the stone. Hey, somebody joined. Welcome. I'm Doug North. I'm going to be working on making stone tools today. And I just sort of do a little work, answer a few questions, do a little work, repeat. This is a piece I started previously. Nice big piece of dacite. Got a little bit of an issue here I'd like to address. I probably need to make that a little thinner, this edge, a little thinner. Take some small flakes off the edge in order to change where the center line is. I need this center line. Ideally, this center line will be, this edge will be below the center line. That will help the flakes carry. Take off this little bit in here because I've got a bit of a step fracture right there. See that? That can develop a problem. So ideally, I will take off flakes from this side to get down to that same level and get rid of that step. The problem with that step is if I try to take another flake off from this side, hit here to take another from here, the force will travel to that line, that ridge, and stop and just make that step deeper and deeper and deeper. So getting rid of it early is to my advantage. Hey Kunzar. Hey C. This is a piece of dacite. It's a type of stone that I use to make stone tools. Something like this piece or these arrowheads. So it's the ancient art craft of making stone tools. It's called flintknapping, but it's not flint. Flint is, you know, a particular type of stone. This is a similar type of stone called dacite. Let's see, so I need this surface lower. So I'm going to take small chips off of this side in preparation. Just little ones, just little taps. I'm not really trying to take off a lot of material. I'm just trying to change the height of the surface that I'm going to hit. So I'm really preparing for my next. As with a lot of traditional skills, preparation can be enormously important. I'll hold this just so you can see. So I've just been taking little tiny hits to take off those tiny flakes. That's right, see, that's what I'm doing right now. Hey Samudra. All right, so a few more little flakes and I'll check. Then I'll look at the piece from the side and I'll show you. Okay, so I took off, did a bunch of little taps like this, and that took off very small flakes from here. So that has the effect of taking this line and bringing it up. But really what I need is to flip it over, because that, if I flip it over, this line is now lower. That's what I was after. If this line's lower and I hit here, the flakes will carry farther if I take them from underneath. And I've also made this edge a little less pointy, sharp, and I also need that. Now I'm going to make it even less pointy by abrading it. So having done that, taking those little chips off, then I'm braiding it. Now I'm ready to hit here in order to take flakes off from down here. How about we do the grease pencil thing, and I'll try and make a prediction. So what I'm trying to get rid of is this line right here, this step. So what I want to do are create flakes that come in this way. Let's say I hit right here, that dot, and then I hope that it takes off a flake kind of like that. So I hit here and it knocks a piece off down here. The idea, that's the principle of everything I'm doing. It's kind of sounds simple, but if you ever try this, you'll see it's not exactly simple. It certainly sounds simple, but can't happen is kind of another thing. So I've got my point marked. Mark the point every time. This is just to hopefully show you how this works. Okay. Hey. All right. I love it when it works. Okay. So I hit just below the dot I made, and that made this here. And you can see where the line I drew there, I took off a piece right next to it. So basically it worked. Either the stone behaved me or I was over this way just a tiny bit, but that's how it works. And did I deal with my problem? I did. So see, I had this ridge right here. Now, where I took this flake off right here, there's no ridge. I've got a smooth surface all the way across. I've still got a little bit here, a tiny bit there, but basically I got rid of my problem. I love it when that's great. So now I can I'm free to work on the rest of this edge now, because, that worked. I took care of my problem, but I still need to make the piece thinner and narrower. So I'll proceed with additional hits on that same side. And I got this is called a copper bopper. More historically or prehistorically, antler tools were used like this, or hammer stones like this. I'll be using a modern tool today. Hey, Kurt, good to see you again. Ooh, another nice big flake. Look at that. Boop. Look at that. That's a nice long, thin flake. I'll even save this because I can make small things like arrowhead from the flakes that come off. That worked really well. Okay. For those just joining, my name's Doug North. I enjoy learning about history and prehistory, and I love making things. So I'm learning how to make stone tools the ancient way using Flintknapping. I've been working on this a couple years, off and on. So just getting back into it kind of intensely, trying to get better at it. Okay. Just lining up, just checking out what I'm doing, seeing if there's any problems. Things look okay. This tool looks a little big. It's probably all right, but I'm going to switch to the slightly smaller one. You don't want to overpower. If you hit with a giant tool, you could break this in half, and that's a big part of trying to avoid. Okay. Go to the other side of the piece. Take a look down the center. Evaluate a couple things, like which side is more flat and which is more curved. The curved side, the side, is a better place for me to focus my attention. So I'd like to take some, hit up here and take some flakes off from down here. Once again, to do that though, I'm going to take a whole bunch of little tiny flakes off of here. It'll take this edge and it will bring it up, which if you think about it, when I flip it over, it'll take this edge and bring it down. That's what I need to prepare. So I'm going to get a smaller tool and just take some little tiny hits off this edge. Very small flakes. Not really trying to take just these little ones, right? So I hit on the top edge and it knocks these small flakes off from the bottom edge. And all of that is in preparation for what I really want to do, which is to fit over and hit here. First, I'm going to use the abrader to make this edge even more dull, more blunt. Okay. And now if I hold it the way I want, hopefully you can see that this edge is now lower than it was, which sets me up to hit here to knock off flakes from down here. Support it well, else you'll break it. Pick the right size tool. I'm a little torn as to whether I want this one or the big one. I think I want the big. And then I'm aiming for a point that's maybe an eighth, maybe a little more than an eighth of an inch in from the edge. And then I hit it. And I missed. It's no problem. Got it. And the flakes fall. And it was this piece right here. Left a little bit of a weird thing behind it. I'll try and just pop off with another tool. Okay, now I'll pick a spikes to that one and keep going. There we go. So I just repeat this process, working my way down one edge and then preparing it, then working down the other edge. And as I do so, the piece will get thinner this way and narrower this way. And eventually it'll get shorter this way too, but that probably won't happen to me for a while yet. And I got to remember to periodically come in and abrade. It's an important step that a lot of beginning people forget to do or just ignore or whatever, but it's very important. That's a good one. Maybe I can show you that one. If I can find the flake, there it is. So I hit here, it was kind of a low spot, and that took that flake off right there. And you can see that flake, if we imagine a center line going through the piece this way, this flake got to that center line and even a little past it. See how it ends down here? That's good, because that means if I can make flakes from this edge that get past the center this way, and then when I go to work on it from this way, get to the center or beyond, that means I can get this thing thin. If my flakes are short, if they end, you know, here, then nothing will ever be taking material off from the center, and this big fat thing in the middle. So getting to the middle or beyond is a good thing. It's a good sign. That one did, which is good. And that one got right to the middle. Happy with that. That's fine. So as I work on one side, I'm taking flakes off. This side is more flat, which is not unexpected, but that means then I want to start on the side that's more convex. If the side is really, really flat, the flakes carry. They won't be long. They'll kind of go a little ways and then they'll just break abruptly. And that isn't good. It can get you into, at least eventually. Okay, so that's everything I want to do over there, probably for now. A little bit of a problem right there, but nothing too serious. I wonder if I should try to get that. Got a little bit of a funny spot in here. Hey Nick, I'm glad you find it interesting. I do too, I'm obsessed. Got a little bit of a funny spot that's kind of the start of a step fracture. So I'm going to try something interesting. Because it's kind of diagonal, I can probably get it by hitting here and in the blow this way. I might be able to. So I'm going to sort of scope that out and prepare, see if I can do that. I'll do the marker thing. Okay, so this is a bit of a, I don't know what my success rate will be, but problem, or the beginning of a problem, is this line here. It's kind of a step, kind of a ridge, and that can cause, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit on the opposite side, of course, top side, somewhere, well, closer to the edge, but that's my general location, and I'm going to tilt the rock so that my blow is in line with that ridge I showed you. And hopefully I can use that to my advantage, take out a piece that covers that edge, which is right here, just inside my drawing. This isn't a thing, but I think it's worth a try because I'm at an early stage and I might be able to pull it off. Orient this so that my blow is in line with that ridge. Hopefully to take that off. I could do it like this, or I could do it like, it's a little awkward. Let's try. I need to make sure the piece is supported. All right, let's try it like that. Ha-ha! All right, I got it. I totally got it. All right, so let's see. There's my drawing. And there's my mark where I was going to hit. And look at this. Boop. I got rid of almost all of that little ridge. It's exactly what I was would happen. I'm glad that worked out. It's kind of, you know, my chances weren't 100% for sure. That's good. That's really good. Give you an update on the whole thing. So really, I don't even know what I'm making yet. I'm just trying to get it thinner and narrower as well. But making things thin is the challenging part anytime you do this. without running into problems like the one that I was starting to develop. If that problem continues, then I'd be in trouble. I'd have to give up, or try really hard to work around it. Here's something I worked on the other day. See, here's a kind of a bad one. This step fracture right there. I could probably still fix this. See right there? Right here. It's very deep. So what I'll have to do on this one eventually is try to make a hit from this side to knock that off. So this is completely salvageable. It's just not what I'm working on today. But it can turn into a big problem, and it can cause you to give up on the piece, or it can cause the piece to break at that spot. So it's something you don't want. Hey everyone, thanks for joining. My name's Doug North. I'm working on Flintknapping today. It's the way tools were made in prehistoric times, even some historic times, but mostly in prehistoric times. I'm working on a piece of dacite. A lot of people ask if that's obsidian, and it's a good guess, but this is obsidian. See how shiny it is compared to the dacite? Obsidian, dacite. Obsidian, dacite. So they have similar properties, which will allow me to do this style of knapping, but they are different stones. Okay. Just going to line up my next hit. Let's see. Try right there. Oh, I crushed the edge a little bit. So what happened there is this is too sharp. I need to take those little flakes off again. The edge isn't strong enough to take the force that I'm applying to when I hit it. So along most of this edge, I need to take off some little flakes, but had a good spot right there I could take advantage of, so I did it. But now I should think about trimming this edge. Now there's another spot where I could take a pretty good hit. Yep, that was a great flake. Look at that. So I hit here, boop, and that took off that flake. Goes right there. Nice big flake. And maybe a little one up here. Yep. Another little one here. All right. Can you hear that? Good quality knapping stone has a bit of a ring. Okay, let's do a little bit of trim here. Even smaller. Once again, these little hits aren't really meant to take off a lot of material. They're just prepared for the next step. preparing the stone for the next step. I'm ready. I'm ready. The stone's not. Okay, a little bit more. Just here and there. Okay, we'll flip it over and a braid. Okay, a little bit of a step fracture there. So try that thing again, that angled hit thing again, and try and get it coming this way. Hopefully that'll work. It's not a giant problem yet, and I'd like to get ahead of it before it becomes a giant problem. I got most of it. So here's the little thing I pointed out, and boom. Yeah, I got it. That's the kind of thing I wouldn't have been able to do like about a year ago. I might not have recognized that that thing was going to be a problem. So I might have just kept going until I made it worse. So I guess that's a sign of progress when you start to see problems ahead of time and, you know, start to steer the giant ship the other way so that by the time you get to the ice around it. I don't know if that analogy is perfect, but I think you probably get what I mean. Avoiding problems early on. Okay. Just making sure of where I am, what I'm doing here. I crushed that edge. If you crush the edge, it means it's too sharp. Good. Good. Less good. Good. So I just did flakes, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. So this whole, along this whole edge, you can see those flake scars nicely. This was the one where I said less good because it was kind of short and it ended in a little tiny bit of a step fracture. I might be able to just pry that off using this little copper tool. If I hook it on that spot and kind of push, I might be able to break that off. Yeah, I did. I just hooked this tool against that little thing and I just pushed and I broke most of it off. So it's kind of a way to address a very small problem, but one that could turn into a bigger problem. So now that I've done those big flakes, here, 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 it leaves behind these little triangles. There, and there, there, and there. And I'll grab a smaller tool. Oh, I don't know. Maybe this one. And I'll braid, and then I'll hit those. And I hope to get, I should get smaller flakes where those triangles are. But you can see, everywhere there's one of those triangles, it leads into a ridge. And the force likes to travel along those ridges. Like there, and there, and there. So, hopefully, if I've prepared it well enough, I can take those ridges off. And that feels a little light. Go with this one. All right, starting at the bottom here. And they're much smaller flakes, but they need to be taken off. There's an example here. So I hit here, and this is where one of those ridges used to be. And now there's a little flake scar because the force traveled along that ridge and then piece off. Okay. Let's see, what's next? Some other side, I think, yeah, go, this side is kind of convex, so I think that's what I'm aiming for. So I'll take the little flakes off in order to change the height of the edge. Okay. So those are done. Now flip it over. I took off all these little flakes to make this edge lower. Okay. So I'm going to be hitting below. If we envision a line going through the center of the piece, like, you know, this edge, hopefully, is below that line. And that helps the flakes travel. I see a few good low spots that look like prime targets. Like right here. And there's a bit of extra mass right here where I know I need to take some stuff off. It's a good spot. Yeah. The flake broke in two, but it's in the right place. So I showed you that low spot here. And these two flakes came off. Here. It's like one flake that's sort of split in the middle. All right, repeat the process. Hey, if anyone's just joined, my name's Doug North. I'm Flintknapping, which is the art of making stone tools. The way it was done in prehistoric Europe, and the Native Americans did it and still do it in some places. They're still around, so I shouldn't use the past tense. Okay. This one's even getting a little big. The piece is getting thinner, and so I got to start watching how big the tool is so that I don't overpower it. Ooh, watch it, Doug. All right, little bit, had some good flakes, but they ended kind of abruptly. So I've got some step fractures here. So next I want to go this way to get rid of those step fractures. And that's okay. They're not too bad, and yeah, they're not too deep, so it should be doable. So I need to prepare this edge to take flakes this way. This happens a lot. See that flake stuck in my finger? It's I knock flakes off, and then my finger touches the pad, and then the flakes get stuck in there. Not wearing gloves today. Usually I wear a glove on this hand, but not always. I don't really like gloves. I'm taking a chance, for sure. But any cuts you get are usually very, very clean, very fine. So they might bleed a lot initially, but they heal just fine. They heal, great, just because it's such a clean cut. Quiet group. Anybody have any questions? I'd love to tell you what I'm doing or to talk about related skills. But if you feel like being quiet, that's also just fine. I have a feeling my Flintknapping is a little bit better when I'm not answering questions. But I just want you to know I'm here for you if you got questions. I'm working on my, I made some more progress on my next long form video. Did some more shooting today, did some shooting yesterday. I'm hoping to have that out for you folks next week. This week? No, next, I guess you call it next week. Once again, I'm just pairing the edges. Not really trying to take anything serious off. I'm just changing the level at which it is. And you can see my developing problem right here. Right here too, little bit. This one's a little bit more worrisome. So I want to take flakes coming off from here to work this all down to one level again. I want to thank you for tuning in. Do I use the stone knife in the kitchen later? You know, I don't. You could. You absolutely could. It's there. Some of them are definitely capable of butchering or cutting vegetables or whatever. But that stuff is even, what works even better for that stuff are the flakes that come off. So the waste flakes that come off from this are, whoop, razor sharp, people. You want a little demo? Here's my demo. Thick piece of leather. You see how thick that is? Cowhide. Let me find a good. Okay. I need 3 hands, so that's why I put it in my mouth. Hold on. Let me find a different side here. That's sharp. Should work. I'm trying not to cut myself. Huh. This piece is making a liar out of me. Hold on. though. I should keep that. I'm going to keep this because that'll make a nice arrowhead. Obsidian, yeah. There you go. Super sharp. Super sharp. Found a different flake. Here we go. I don't know what was wrong with that one edge. Wasn't very sharp, but very straight. Super sharp, crazy sharp. Okay, this heater is gonna cook me alive. This thing is incredibly sharp. So sharp. If you've tuned in before, you'll know what I'm about to say. So sharp they use it for eye surgery. Really, really, really sharp. Okay, I'm preparing this edge. How's that look? Pretty good. A couple little flakes here. Okay. All right, I'll braid. Should reorganize my tools here a little bit. They're getting kind of crazy. Move my pencil over there. Okay, the braider. There's one little place I want to take off a bit more, right there. Good. Oh, Nick, yes, sometimes I use these, but mostly, like, here's another knife I made. Not sure if you've seen that one before. It's made out of a material called chert. So mostly I use them for other ancestral or primitive skills projects. So I'll use this knife if I'm making arrows or something. Or eventually I'm hoping to skin an animal with this. I haven't done it yet. So sometimes I use them. I like it because for me it's part of the learning experience, part of the just getting familiar with how people, what people experienced in other cultures and in the past. I just kind of find that interesting. So I do use them sometimes. Okay. Edge is nearly ready. All right. The drink here. So once again, I find myself approaching a problem with this step right here. There's a bit of a lip. That's called a step fracture. The force came in and for some reason abruptly ended. Maybe it was resting on my leg right there, or maybe I didn't use enough force, or maybe there's a bit of a weakness inherent in the stone. Sure. But if I leave this and then try to take flakes off from this direction again, it will cause this step to get deeper and worse. So I need to get rid of it. The way to get rid of it is to make this all one level. And the way to make it all one level is to take flakes off from this side. Okay, so I've prepared this edge to hit here and take flakes off going toward my problem. It's sort of, I'm at that level of, I call myself an advanced beginner, and I'm at that level where, like, I have some good hits, and then I make a problem, And then I work very carefully to fix my problem. And then hopefully I go forward, make good hits until I make a problem and repeat. Once you get better at this, you don't make so many problems. Yep, good. I started to get rid of it. I'm going to hit right next to it and hope I'll do most of what I need. It did. So my problem in here, yes, my problem was in here, and I just took these 2 flakes off, and now this is back to pretty much one level. That's kind of you, Nick. I mean, maybe I'm being a little modest, but I don't want to mislead anybody, and I don't want to pretend like I'm really, really good at this, because I'm not. There are people that are. Really, there's a lot of them. I hope to be one day. I have done some teaching of these types of skills, not flint knapping specifically, because I just don't feel like my expertise is there yet. But part of learning any skill for me is really familiar with the principles involved. And so even though my results might not be at the highest levels at all, often I'm able to explain things in a way that people appreciate, because it's part of how I have to learn. So, you could argue that I shouldn't be on here showing people how to do this because I'm not good enough. And I would understand kind of thinking. I'm just trying to be really upfront with everybody that I'm still learning, very much learning. And if someone, jumps on here with a significant amount of experience, they might raise an eyebrow at how I'm doing things, or the results I'm getting. Fair enough. I'm learning too. I suppose it's not for me to say what level I'm at, really. But I don't have a teacher right here with me to say, Doug, you've come a long way. I think now you're intermediate or something like that. I don't, so I don't know. I don't know how to gauge that. I've gotten better. That's for sure. But I've got a way to go in many respects. That worked out pretty well, that side. So, get thinner. Got a little bit of a weirdness up here. I got that tip. I'm hesitant to do that. Hitting the ends is always a little risky. Okay, that's better. Hitting on the ends is risky because if you hit hard, it sends a shock wave through the piece. The piece wants to ripple, and rock doesn't ripple. It just breaks. And so you often just break it right in half somewhere along the length. And I've made that mistake so many times. But I appreciate you saying that, Nick. One day I'll teach it. Probably, maybe, I don't know. I guess I am teaching it right now, but I'm just being really upfront with you that I don't regard myself as an expert. I know some. I know some people. Bit of a weird spot here. Just trying to think of how to approach it. Bit of a funkiness right here, but it's so close to the edge. I'll take it off pretty soon, one way or the other, from one side or the other. But I've maintained a lot of the length, so I'm feeling good about that, and it's getting thinner. Might be on track for a long knife blade or a spear point. Let's try this size. Yeah. Yeah, it's coming along. Of course, I might be jinxing myself, right? Um, Peepo, yes, but that's not my motivation. I'm not, I enjoy these skills. I just love learning them. Various kinds of ancestral and primitive skills like making cordage out of bark, snapping, learning to make traps. I just find all this stuff interesting. And it keeps me busy and it keeps me active. And I suppose, you know, if I found myself in a survival situation, yeah, it's handy. It's handy stuff. But it's not my first reason for learning it. I just love to make things. I'm interested in history. I'm interested in anthropology. And this is the primary explore those interests. My friends always joke that if there's a apocalypse, you know, they're going to come to me. I don't know if it'll help or not. I really enjoy creating friction fires, so using a bow drill or hand drill, methods like that. That's one of my favorite things to learn. Spent a lot of time doing that. Sort of checking, seeing if everything's, you know, how the center is shaping up. If the piece looks like it's got kind of a twist to it or something, looks good. I mean, once I knock off these are more of those triangles. We call them deltas. If I knock these off, like there and there and there, then this edge will be or look pretty straight. Just going to have a smaller tool for that. It's getting thin enough that I have to kind of start worrying about how hard I hit it. And one way to control that is to use the smaller tools. But I might need to jump back and forth a little bit between the large, slightly larger and slightly smaller, depending on what I encounter. Of course, a braiding. Hey, 5x5, what's up? Long time no see or speak or whatever you call it. Good to hear from you. Thanks, man. It has been a while since that course. What is that? 2021? Maybe? I'm thinking. Got a little bit of a fat spot right here. You see that on the edge? Hey, the Goofy Goober. Same deal, you know, I'm really just practicing with thinning without a real, you know, final product in mind. So this one's going pretty well. You know, it's already pretty thin and I've maintained a lot of length. So this could be a big knife or spear point, I suppose. You know, it sort of depends on how it goes. I tend to like to make knives. Thank you. All right, I got rid of that big goober. It was this flake right here. So my edge is, it's a little wavy, but that's not a big deal. I've got kind of a thing I'm working around this step fracture right, but it might be time to step up and address that. I think it is. Yeah. So even though that's a step fracture, it's so close to the edge that I think if I hit there, the force will carry underneath it and past it, so it won't interrupt and make the step deeper, I hope, in theory. Why don't we find out? Breathe. Ooh, that one hit didn't do anything, and now I'm worried about hitting it again. What could I take? A bunch of small hits. I could try to weaken it from this other side and then hit it harder. I think I just have to step up and be bold. That didn't go as perfectly as possible. See, I made a fracture going this way. There, you can see it. I should be able to deal with it, but that's not what I wanted to happen. Oh, nice. So you were working mahogany obsidian? What's this about rabbit stick? Oh, yeah, I've 5x5. I've been to the last 2 rabbit things with my wife, and I really liked it. I mean, it's for those who don't know, stick gathering is a ancestral skills or primitive skills gathering in Idaho, and it's a week-long event where people get together, camp at this one location on a river, and you spend the entire week taking classes in things like fishing or making baskets, making cordage, making traps, I made a shrink pot. And yeah, you do have to pay for it. You do. But I'll tell you this, if you look into taking any one of those classes, you know, or 2 classes like that, you know, anywhere else at any time, any other time, you'd pay what the registration fee is for rabbit stick. So if you're interested and you can take the time and you can make the travel, then man, so worth it. Because if you've got energy, you can take, you know, 2 classes a day, or sometimes they're full day classes, sometimes they're multi-day classes. So depending on what you want to do, but I'm able to get in, like, I don't know, over 7 days, like 10 classes. And I walk away with all this cool stuff I made and new friends and new skills. So worth it. So cool. There are other events like this in different parts of the country. So look into it. You know, look into primitive skills, ancestral skills, earth skills. But Goober rabbit stick. And they're on like number 36, 7 now. This one's been going a long time. And just so you know, they're starting to limit the number of tickets they sell, but don't want it to turn into this giant, like, festival or something. You know, it's real. You're really there. I mean, there is a community and it is fun, but they're trying to not have it be like, I don't like, you know, some kind of, you just drop in and, you know, you're not really taking it seriously. So they've started to limit the number of kits that they sell. And so it's worth thinking about now for next September. I think they're offering the registration already, which reminds me I should probably buy some. I do recommend it. Really great event. And there's sometimes there's some recognizable names as participants and teachers. So if you're into this stuff, or if you're into survival skills or wilderness skills, you know, there might be people you recognize there. I took a class from Cody Lundeen 2 years ago. He's been on several TV shows and it's been a long time. I took a Gold Canteen class from him, and he was great. I also attended a lecture that he gave. That was another one of his classes. It was on making survival kits for the environment that he lives in. It's a little smaller this year, but that wasn't bad. It meant that I could get into more of the classes that I wanted. Recommended. Yeah, like third week in September. They moved it by 1 week this year, and I can't remember if they made it a little earlier. I think they did. I think they made it a little earlier. It coincides with the start of the bow hunting season where I live, so it's always kind of in the way, but worth it. I meant to bring one of my favorite projects that I did this year was I cast a copper axe with one of the instructors that is an exact replica of the one that Otzi the Iceman had. I meant to bring it out so I could show it when he comes up, because he often comes up as I'm doing this. I have yet to haft it into a handle yet. I'm just looking for the right piece of wood, and so far I haven't found something that I like enough. I will. What I want, I should put the word out there, is I want a piece of yew. And it's a very particular shape. So it's a small little axe head, because in those days, copper was precious. This was during a very brief copper age in Europe. So the axe head, I'll scale, it's about like that, that, and that, and the edge is up here. That's about the size. So what I'm looking for yew that is like an L, preferably from like a branch or a root. So like part of it comes out and goes like that. There's like a bulb where the branches meet or a root is. So it's like a particularly strong part. And then the handle goes down about 2 feet. So I'm looking for a piece of yew. That's yew wood. That's roughly that shape. Maybe this is a little thicker. And I just don't really, we have some yew around, like ornamental. Stocks. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I know those type of, like a war club type. I've seen those. Yeah, I don't either. I'll think of it as soon as we end this session, right? If anybody's got a handle on some yew wood, I'm looking for a big L like this, so that I can recreate Otzi's axe completely. Hey, the whiteboard came in handy. I knew I should bring this out here. I should start asking every time, you know, like, hey, anybody have access? This is a little fat. And I'll try to remember to bring that, the axe head to one of these sessions so that we can check it out together. I do have his knife that I recreated. Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like. I do have Utzi's knife that I made. That's a recreation of his knife sheath. And there's my recreation of his knife. So it's sort of like a goal in the back of my mind to like recreate his entire kit. I've got a friend who's basically done that. Like, wow. So that's the knife, and that's the bark fiber sheath. The stone is chert, and the handle, I forget, might be hickory, and more reverse wrap cordage, some sinew, binding that on there. I think I put some pitch glue in there. I don't see any though. I'm pretty sure I did. It's pretty important, really. Yes. You're the second person to ask me about how to make cordage, and I need to do that. Probably both a video and a live stream, because I can show you, actually, if you want to do it really informally, we could do it now. Do you have some toilet paper or some paper towel? I can show you the gist of it right here, right now. What do you think of that? But plan on doing a more formal one too. But I'll show you the basics. I'm gonna take this paper towel and just make it a bit thinner by tearing it down the middle. So you can imagine that this is a bunch of plant fibers. I'd have got them from cedar bark, basswood bark, milkweed, dogbane, lots of different kinds of plants. Okay? So I'm going to pick a spot that's not quite in the center. So this end is a little shorter than this end. And that's so that later on when we splice pieces in, that splice doesn't happen at the exact same weak point in the cord. All right? I'll do it facing you this way for now. So the way I like to teach it is like this, so that as if you're looking over my shoulder, and maybe I'll do that in a second, but just so you can get the idea, and really to get the simple it really is. Okay, so I've picked a spot that's not quite in the center. This is my non-dominant hand, and I'm holding it pinched. I'm going to take my dominant hand and start twisting it. I can bring this hand toward me, but basically you keep twisting in opposite directions until it wants to form this kink. I'm not doing this. I'm twisting. And you see how it made that? I didn't really do that. I just twisted in opposite directions, and it happens. Okay? That's the first step. Now I'm going to grab that little loop that it made and put it in my non-dominant hand, and then orient these things coming out to the right. Okay? Now, I'm going to take the upper strand and spin it away from me until it's tight. I'm maintaining this pinch on my other hand. Now I'm going to take my second finger and grab the lower set of strands. So I twisted this one away from me. This one I will toward me. Okay? Now I'm going to repeat all of that a million times. Move the pinch, your pinched finger forward just a tiny bit. And now you can take this hand away, let it rest, whatever. Okay? Top set of strands twisted away from you until they're tight. Use second finger to grab the lower set of strands and twist it back toward you. So the wrapping happens in opposite directions. Top one twists away from you. Grab the lower one, twist it toward you. Move your pinch forward. Twist the top one away from you. Grab the lower one, twist it toward you. Move your pinch forward. And as you can see, I'm starting to develop a reverse wrap that looks like any cord you buy. Like if you go buy jute or something. Here's a better example. I don't know if that's focusing. It's also kind of fuzzy. Maybe you can see it, but I'll do a few more. Twist away, grab the lower one, twist it to you. Repeat. And this is just paper towel. You can do it with toilet paper, things. And look at that. Reverse, that is the principle of wrap cordage. It makes the cordage more than twice as strong as the two individual strands. And it's amazing how strong this can be. Especially if you're really fastidious about making this tight and then keeping like your finger wedged in there so it's tight and then making this wrap tight. So if you're just very careful about it and keep tension under everything, it helps a lot. So I'll just do a few more so you can see the pattern as I develop length here. And you see it becomes kind of muscle memory. This is the kind of thing that you can do like around the campfire. You don't have to look. You just get used to it. You can feel it. So there you go. See? Camera glasses might be helpful for filming this kind of content from your point of view. Camera glasses. Oh, so the glasses are a camera? Nick, it's a good idea. I'm working on getting some software that will allow me to use two cameras. What I'd like to do is have a camera up here looking down on my lap, and that view. And then this view you're seeing right now of me might be like a little circle up here in the corner or something. But so this is paper towel, you know, a 2-inch strip of paper towel. I could break, that's paper towel. So, I mean, yeah, that wasn't real strong, but it was way, way stronger than a strip of paper towel. So if you do this with fibers that have any kind of strength at all, you yourself some really workable cordage. Some excellent plants. Cane is really strong. Yucca leaves are very, very strong. Stinging nettle fibers are very, very strong. There's a lot of plants. So depending on where you are in the country, in the world, there are plants that will work for this. Some of them are well known, like the ones I just mentioned. Other ones, you can just, let's say you're weeding or something and you're like, God, this is strong. Try it. Just try it. And you'll be surprised at the things that will work. You can also use it. Let's say you have some really wimpy jute cord. You bought some jute cord, but you bought the too thick gauge and it just breaks. Well, go ahead and reverse wrap jute cord. And then you will more than double its strength. And of course, you can reverse wrap something that's already been reverse wrapped. And so you can double it up. That's getting a little out of ourselves, but you see how easy it really is. There are advanced techniques which I can't really pull off, in which you take the two strands and you rub against your leg while twisting in the opposite direction with your hand. I can never quite make it work, but someone who's very proficient in it will do that kind of technique. So those are the fundamentals of doing reverse wrap. Go ahead and practice with toilet paper. You can go to the craft store and buy raffia, like that grassy, you know, material. That makes great cordage. Rose stalks. Those are gonna be prickly, right? Those, I think, never tried it. And those might be decent cordage without doing reverse wrap. I'm not sure. If it's anything like raspberry stalks. If you get the thin ones, they can be used as cordage on their own. Yeah, if you're working with something like stinging nettle or green milkweed or yucca, get something dull like the back of a butter and scrape off the meaty, planty stuff so that you're left with the fibers behind. You could practice with old tissue paper, sure. It's not going to be super strong, but just to get a feel for the motions, be perfect to practice with. Lilies, leaves, they grow all around our house and we don't really want them, tiger lilies. If you cut those, let them dry in the sun or in your car for a while. Those are great. Longest are dogbane, yucca, stinging nettle. If you've ever heard of a snake plant, or some places in the world it's mother-in-law's tongue, some places in the world it's called Bushman's bowstring. So those four are all strong, like the bowstring of a bow, which is under a ton of tension. So you can do it with rawhide. If you wet rawhide, you could, if you got like buckskin about that thick, you twist this buckskin up and make reverse wrap cordage out of it. It works with so many things. So once you basic principle down and you learn how to feed new in, which is easy, then you can make wherever you are. I've done it with plastic grocery bags. It's really laborious and a pain because it's so stretchy. But once you get it stretched out, and if you wet your fingers a lot, you can make more than 5 feet of strong cordage from one plastic grocery bag. It was strong enough for me to bow drill fire with it. So it's an amazingly useful skill and well worth your time to just learn the basics of how to do it. Thank you, 5x5. Rabbit Stick 2025 will be September 14th through September 20th in Rexburg, Idaho. It's like a little college. So you're not in the middle of nowhere. Some of these skills gatherings you're totally in the middle of nowhere. Rexburg is not in the middle of nowhere. It's a secluded private location for the event. But let's say you need something, like you can go to town and I'm thinking Dr. Pepper Zero. I'm really thirsty. Yeah, so it's a great location. The first year we camped out there, but we flew. And flying with all the camping gear for 2 people for a week, it took a lot of the fun out of it. So we stayed at a hotel this year. Not entirely within the spirit of the event, but it gave us more energy for doing 8 hours of classes a day for a week. So I feel okay about the decision. So you've got options. They also rent out some, they've started to rent out some like bell tents, some of those larger round small yurt-like tents. I think they've started to rent some of those out. So if you're flying there and you don't want to travel with that much gear, that's a middle ground. You wouldn't be paying for a hotel, but you would have a good, safe, comfortable place to stay. So that's kind of a middle ground. Whatever works for your comfort level and your budget. A lot of people who drive show up in, little RVs or vans or whatever. So all of those are options. So yeah, a little side quest there to learn how to do reverse wrap cordage. That was fun, but I do plan, if I do a demo here, I'll grab some I've got a lot of milkweed that's been dried, so it's ready to be used. You can do it with it green, but it's even better if it's had a year to dry. So if I do it here live, I'll get the milkweed to show you how to process the fibers, get it out of the plant efficiently, and then use those to reverse wrap some cordage. I think that will be a nice sort of start to finish lesson. Well, this is coming along well. I'll probably start winding down here. Do a little bit more. And as always, I thank those of you who have tuned in. I appreciate it very much. Hope it's been entertaining and educational. I watch tutorials how to do it and then just give up. Oh, hey, I'm glad to hear that. It's kind of hard to get for the first like couple of minutes, but if you got someone there showing you, walking you through it step by step, it's really not hard. It just takes getting over that initial learning curve, and then you got it for life. Oh, I'm so glad, Nick. Please check out some of my long form stuff. I'm trying to build up my channel. I should be putting a new long form video out next week, and about a primitive throwing thing that doesn't seem to be, it's not all over the internet, so it's not new per se, but it's kind of new to the internet, or new-ish to the internet. And I'll be showing you how to make one and use one, and it should be good fun. Yeah, I got myself into a pickle. So one of those step fractures did get deeper. It's not awful. Right here. It's not awful. It's also not good. The piece is getting thin enough. So to fix this, so there's a bit of thickness right here and a bit of a line. It's going to be pretty tough to attack. I'm probably going to have to take a flake off from this side, which means I need to make a flake that is going to carry from one side to the other to take that off. And the reason that's challenging is because this is starting to get thin. So I'm probably going to have to lose some width, which is okay. This is really wide for most things, but I'm going to have to sort of prepare well and say a little prayer before I try and drive a flake this way to take off that sort of, it's a sequence of step fractures. Where's my pencil? I was sort of talking and not paying attention, and I made my problem, I made a little problem into a medium big problem. So this set of step fractures here and a little bit of one here. Yeah, so either I'll slowly work this down this way so it gets closer to the edge, then I may be able to take it off from this side, or I have to drive a flake all the way from this side to take it off. Possibly one could hit from the bottom and take it off, but it's going to have to be a forceful blow, and hits from the bottom tend to cause the thing to ripple and break. So that is not at all my first choice for trying to fix that. But you can see there's kind of this mass right here. And I'm going to need to get to that and pop it off to bring this all down to one level. I think I'm going to save that for another. Stuff's falling apart in my shop here. This side's all right. I got some little issues, but nothing to worry about, I don't think. Yeah. So if I put it in this display case, like put it this side out, right? Now I'm gonna try to fix this problem. I mean, it's, oh, another one down here. That one's really close to the bottom, so I probably just can knock that off. Just be very carefully and really support the whole thing well, so a shockwaves doesn't ripple down through it. But thanks again, folks, and I've been doing this a few times a week, typically a little later in the day than this, usually around 6 p.m. Eastern time is more typical. It was a Saturday, and I just finished some filming for that video, so I thought, well, why don't I do a little Flintknapping? While I'm Flintknapping, why don't I turn on the camera? One thing led to another. But I appreciate you joining me, and I encourage you to check out some of my other videos. All of the liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, that stuff helps me. So if you can get to that, I appreciate it. And I hope you have a great remainder of your day. And I hope this has inspired you to get out there and learn some new stuff, learn some old stuff, and take care of yourselves and take care of other people. And I'll see you soon.